Elena was 74 when it happened. She thought it would be just another ordinary morning. She stepped into her bathroom, humming softly, when suddenly a wave of dizziness hit her. Her heart was beating, not racing, but something felt off. It wasn't a heart attack. It wasn't a stroke. It was her circulation, her blood flow that had taken a dramatic dip. What shocked her most was the cause. It wasn't an unusual disease. It was something she had done quietly, privately, for over 50 years. Something that most women are told is perfectly normal masturbation. Now let me be clear right from the start. It wasn't the act itself that created the problem. The real issue was how she had been doing it in the same habitual way for decades. What once seemed harmless in her 30s and 40s had quietly become risky in her 70s. No doctor had ever warned her. No book had ever explained it. And so, like so many women I meet, she never suspected that her most private routine could silently shape her circulation, her sensitivity, and her confidence. Hello, I'm Dr. Lisa Perriera. For over 30 years, I've dedicated my career to supporting women through every stage of life, especially women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. We often talk about cholesterol, blood pressure, bone density, or even memory changes. But rarely do we talk about intimacy, about what happens to your circulation, your arousal, and your confidence as you age. Yet this area of health has the power to influence everything from your sleep to your relationships to the way you carry yourself in public. Today, I want to have a very open, compassionate, and practical conversation with you. We are going to talk about the hidden ways that certain self-pleasure habits, completely normal in younger years, can actually work against you later in life. Not to shame, not to scare, but to empower you with the knowledge you were never given so you can continue to enjoy intimacy in a way that nourishes your body instead of stressing it. I know this is a sensitive subject. Many women have whispered these questions to me in the quiet of my clinic. Retired teachers, nurses, artists, proud grandmothers, women who thought they were alone or even broken. But here's the truth: you are not broken. You simply haven't been told how your body changes with age and how those changes require new approaches. Here's the medical side. As we move past menopause, our blood vessels naturally lose elasticity. The skin becomes thinner. Hormones like estrogen, which once supported arousal and rapid healing, decline. That means the very same techniques that once felt harmless, even healthy in your 30s or 40s, can now quietly chip away at your circulation. Over time, this can reduce sensitivity, create micro-traumas in delicate tissues, or even leave you feeling numb instead of alive. Think of it this way: your body at 60 or 70 is not failing you. It is simply asking for a different kind of care. The same way you wouldn't expect to run a marathon without preparation at 70. You also can't expect your intimate system to respond the way it did at 30 if you don't adjust your approach. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 most common mistakes women unknowingly make when it comes to self-pleasure after 60. I see these mistakes again and again in my practice. And I'll show you how to gently shift your habits so that instead of harming your circulation, you actually support your long-term vitality. And here's a promise. If you stay with me to the end, you'll discover the most common mistake, one that over 90% of older women I speak with are making, and correcting it could make a dramatic difference in how you feel both physically and emotionally. But before we dive in, I'd love for you to take a moment and let me know you're here. If this topic feels important to you, please like this video, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss advice designed specifically for women like you. And in the comments, just type a 1 if this resonates with you, or a Z if you're still unsure. Either way, I'd love to know where you are on this journey. All right, let's begin. The first mistake is one that seems innocent, even efficient. But in reality, it can silently stress your blood vessels every single time. Mistake number 1, rushing through pleasure and triggering a circulatory shock. Mistake number 1 was treating pleasure like a sprint rather than a gentle walk. But even if you've slowed down, many women still fall into a second habit. And this one is almost entirely unconscious. You may not even realize you're doing it until I describe it right now. Mistake number 2 is holding your breath and tensing your pelvic floor, silently choking off circulation. Over the decades, I've noticed this pattern in so many women I see in my clinic. It doesn't show up in a lab test, and you won't find it in a textbook, but it shows up in the body. During moments of self-pleasure, shoulders creep upward, the abdomen stiffens, the jaw tightens, and without realizing it, you hold your breath. At first glance, it seems harmless, but physiologically, it has big consequences. When your breath becomes shallow and your pelvic muscles are clenched, your nervous system slips into a mild fight-or-flight response. Instead of opening up to allow oxygen-rich blood into the clitoris and vaginal tissues, your body constricts. Circulation slows right when you need it most. Here's why that matters. The clitoris is one of the most blood-sensitive structures in your entire body. It requires soft, steady blood flow to swell, awaken the nerves, and deliver sensation. When you cut off that flow, even for a few minutes, you interrupt the entire cycle of arousal. Over time, this can become a habit. Your body learns to pair intimacy with tension rather than relaxation. I remember a patient, Margaret, who was 69. She came to me almost in tears saying, "Dr. Perriera, I feel like my body doesn't want to respond anymore. It takes forever to feel anything." When I asked if she noticed her breathing, she paused. "You know," she said, "I think I do hold my breath." That moment was eye-opening for her. When she practiced deep, slow breathing and allowed her pelvic floor to relax, her circulation improved within weeks. She told me I didn't realize how much life I was choking off just by holding my breath. So if you take one thing from this second mistake, let it be this: when you stop breathing, you stop flowing. And when you stop flowing, you stop feeling. But even with relaxed breathing, there's another trap, one that often begins with good intentions. It's something I see most often in women navigating retirement, widowhood, or even loneliness. It's mistake number 3, daily stimulation without recovery, quietly draining your drive. Think of it like exercise. When you were younger, you could work out daily and bounce back quickly. But now your muscles and tissues need time to recover. The same principle applies to your intimate system. Daily self-pleasure may feel comforting or routine, but if your body doesn't have enough time to rest, the effects can be the opposite of what you hope for. Brenda, a 72-year-old retired nurse, once told me I do it every day because it helps me fall asleep. But afterward, I feel flat, almost empty. She thought something was wrong with her. But the truth was, her body wasn't failing her, it was overworked. Her nerve endings hadn't had time to reset. Her blood vessels hadn't had a chance to repair. Her energy reserves were being stretched thin. When stimulation becomes constant without variety or pause, you may notice a dulling effect, less sensitivity, lingering numbness, even emotional fatigue. Pleasure stops feeling like a gift and starts feeling like a chore. And that sense of depletion can spill into your mood, your sleep, and even your confidence. This doesn't mean you should give up self-pleasure. Far from it. It means your body is asking for balance. Rest is not deprivation, it's restoration. Just like letting sore muscles heal after a workout, giving your intimate system a day or two to recover, can actually bring back desire, sensitivity, and joy. So far, we've looked at 2 habits, breath holding and overuse, that quietly restrict circulation. Both of them, over time, weaken the very areas you're trying to nurture. But there is still one more mistake, And it doesn't begin in the body. It begins in the brain. And for many women, this is the hardest to recognize. I'll explain that in just a moment. But first, let me ask you, have you ever caught yourself clenching your muscles or holding your breath without realizing it? If so, type yes in the comments. And if you're not sure, type maybe. Sharing your experience not only helps you, it helps other women realize they're not alone in this. Now let's explore the fourth and most common mistake, the kind that rewires the brain and starves real intimacy. We've already explored how rushing breath holding and daily overuse can quietly undermine your circulation and confidence. But the fourth mistake is different. It doesn't begin in your muscles or your blood vessels. It begins in your brain. Mistake number 4, relying too heavily on fantasy or overstimulating media, starving real intimacy. Let's talk about this gently, because I know it touches something very personal: loneliness, longing, and the deep human need for connection. Over the years, many women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond have shared with me that they use fantasy romance novels or even explicit media to help them feel desire. At first glance, there's nothing wrong with this. After all, imagination has always been a part of intimacy. But here's what I've seen again and again. When the brain becomes conditioned to intense or highly stimulating material, it begins to rewire itself. The dopamine system. The part of your brain that governs reward and pleasure gets used to those artificial highs. And slowly, real-life touch, gentle presence, or even loving intimacy can start to feel muted in comparison. I'll never forget one of my patients, Diana. She was 67, a widow, and incredibly brave to speak so openly. She told me, "Dr. Perriera, I feel broken. I can only respond when I'm watching something online. When I'm with myself, or even imagining someone I care about, it feels flat." She whispered those words as though she carried a secret shame. But I told her exactly what I'm telling you. Now, you are not broken. You are simply conditioned. When the brain gets overstimulated, the signals that trigger circulation in the pelvic area can become disrupted. That means less blood flow to the clitoris, less natural lubrication, and a growing sense of disconnect from your own body. And for women over 60, when blood vessels are already more delicate and hormone levels are lower, this breakdown in the brain-body connection can be especially discouraging. But here's the encouraging part: your brain can heal. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, never disappears. You can retrain your system to respond again to natural, softer, more authentic forms of stimulation. It does take patience, but I've seen it happen in women well into their 70s and even 80s. So what do you do if you've been relying on fantasy or media more than you'd like? The first step is simply awareness. Notice what you're reaching for and how it makes you feel afterward. Do you feel satisfied or do you feel empty? Do you feel connected or distant? Those small clues will tell you whether your habits are nourishing you or quietly depleting you. The second step is to experiment with gentler sources of arousal. Memory, touch, scent, even music. Something that invites your senses back into the present moment instead of pulling you into overstimulation. This isn't about restriction, it's about reconnection. About letting your body and mind rediscover the simple grounding sensations that can restore circulation and intimacy naturally. I had another patient, Joanne, who decided to put away her media for 30 days. She told me. The first week was hard. I felt restless. But by the third week, I started to feel more alive in my own body. My sensitivity returned. I felt my heart open again. That shift wasn't about giving something up. It was about giving her body and brain the space to reset. Now let me bring all 4 mistakes together. Whether it's rushing, holding your breath, overuse without recovery, or relying too much on fantasy, the common thread is this: your body is sending you signals. signals that it wants to be treated with patience, breath balance, and presence. And here's the most hopeful truth: every one of these habits is reversible. You are not locked into these patterns forever. Your circulation can improve. Your sensitivity can return. Your confidence can grow stronger. In fact, in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to shift from mistakes into healing practices. We'll talk about slowing down, breathing deeply, resting between sessions, and retraining the brain to respond to softer, more nourishing forms of pleasure. I'll also share stories of women who made these changes and saw their vitality transform, sometimes within weeks. But before we go, let me ask you something. Have you noticed yourself relying more on fantasy or outside stimulation than you used to? If so, type reset in the comments. And if you've already tried stepping back and found improvement, type alive. Your story might give another woman the courage to try. So stay with me. In the next section, we'll explore how small, simple changes can bring back circulation sensitivity and confidence, even after decades of habits you thought were permanent. By now, you've seen the 4 mistakes that quietly chip away at circulation and confidence after 60. But here's the good news: every one of them can be reversed. The body is remarkably resilient, even in our later years. What matters most is making small conscious shifts that align with the way your body functions today, not the way it did decades ago. So let's walk through what that looks like in real life. The first shift is slowing down. Intimacy is not a race. Think of it like cooking a slow, nourishing soup instead of microwaving a frozen dinner. When you allow your body to build arousal, gradually, blood vessels have time to expand. Gently, tissues receive more oxygen and sensitivity grows instead of diminishing. Even 5 extra minutes of relaxed build-up can make a remarkable difference in circulation and enjoyment. The second shift is breathing deeply and relaxing your pelvic floor. Many women don't even realize how much tension they carry until I guide them through a simple exercise in my office. Try it now. Place one hand on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose. Let your belly rise. And then exhale through your mouth with a soft sigh. Feel your shoulders drop. Imagine your pelvic floor softening like a hammock releasing. That one small change tells your nervous system it's safe to open. It's safe to flow. And that is exactly what your blood vessels need to deliver sensation. The third shift is building in recovery time. Just as your joints need rest after exercise, your intimate system thrives on pauses. If you've been used to daily self-pleasure experiment with every other day or even every third day, notice how your sensitivity rebounds when you give your tissues and nerve endings a chance to reset. One of my patients, Maria, told me I thought more was better. But when I started giving myself space, I was surprised I actually wanted it again, and it felt better than before. The fourth shift is retraining your brain away from overstimulation. This doesn't mean you can't use your imagination. In fact, imagination is a beautiful tool. But try guiding it toward gentler, more realistic sources. Memory of a tender moment, the sound of a song, the warmth of touch. Step back from screens or highly charged media for a while and see what happens. Often women rediscover sensations they thought were gone. These shifts are not just theoretical. I've seen them change lives. Let me share a story. Evelyn, a 73-year-old retired school principal, came to me feeling defeated. She said, "Dr. Perriera, I've lost all sensitivity. I feel disconnected from my own body." When we unpacked her habits, we found all 4 mistakes. She rushed, held her breath, stimulated daily without pause, and relied heavily on fantasy. Instead of giving her a pill or a procedure, I encouraged her to make small adjustments, slow down, breathe, take rest days, and gradually step back from media. 6 weeks later, she returned with tears in her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. "I feel alive again," she said. "It's not like I'm 30, but I feel like myself. I can feel my body responding, and that gives me confidence I thought was gone forever." Stories like Evelyn's remind me of a truth I wish every woman over 60 could know: your body still listens. Your circulation can still improve. Your confidence can still grow. But you have to treat yourself with the patience and respect you deserve. And remember, these changes don't just affect your private moments, they ripple outward. Better circulation supports better sleep, steadier mood, even heart health. When you feel connected to your body, you walk taller. You engage with more warmth. You carry a quiet confidence that others can see and feel. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 shifts feels most doable for you right now? Is it slowing down, breathing, resting, or retraining your brain? Type your choice in the comments. Your answer may inspire another woman to begin her own shift. Stay with me, because in the final part, we're going to bring all of this together into one empowering message. I'll recap the mistakes, highlight the solutions, and most importantly, show you how to redefine pleasure as nourishment, not performance, at this stage of life. We've come full circle. We started with Elena at 74, suddenly realizing her circulation was faltering. And we discovered together that the cause wasn't disease, it was habits. Habits that felt normal in her 30s, but became risky in her 70s. Now you know what those habits are. Rushing through self-pleasure, holding your breath, and tightening your pelvic floor, stimulating daily without recovery, and relying too much on fantasy or media. Each one of them may seem small in the moment, but over time they can silently erode your circulation, reduce sensitivity, and leave you questioning your confidence. But here's the truth I want you to carry with you. None of this means you're broken. None of this means your best years are behind you. In fact, these habits can all be reversed. Your body is still listening. Your circulation is still responsive. Your confidence can still grow stronger than ever. So let's recap the shifts you can make starting today. Slow down. Treat intimacy like nourishment, not a race. Breathe deeply. Relax your body so blood can flow freely. Give yourself recovery days. Let your tissues, nerves, and energy reset. Retrain your brain. Step away from overstimulation and rediscover natural, gentle sources of pleasure. These steps are not about restriction. They are about freedom to feel alive again in your own skin, freedom to reconnect with your body, freedom to enjoy intimacy as a source of energy instead of depletion. I've seen women in their late 70s and even 80s reclaim sensitivity, restore vitality, and feel joy they thought was gone forever. Not because of a pill, not because of a procedure, but because they chose to listen to their bodies and respond with patience, presence, and care. So I want to ask you, what's one small step you can take today? Maybe tonight you pause and give yourself an extra few minutes to breathe. Maybe tomorrow you let yourself rest instead of rushing into habit. Maybe you simply notice when your shoulders are tense and allow them to soften. Healing isn't one giant leap. It's a collection of small choices, and every choice you make matters. I also want to remind you that intimacy is not just about climax. It's about connection to your body, to your breath, and even to your heart. When you slow down and honor your body, you're not just improving circulation, you're nurturing confidence, sleep, mood, and relationships. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling more comfortable in your skin, more connected to your body, and more hopeful about the years ahead. That is possible. And it starts with the way you treat yourself in your most private moments. So here's my invitation: commit to just one change this week. Write it down. Share it in the comments. Let this community of women see you support you and walk alongside you, because you are not alone. Thousands of women your age are quietly asking the same questions, facing the same challenges, and longing for the same renewal. And if this video has given you clarity or comfort, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a sister, or someone you know who might need this encouragement. You could be the reason another woman feels less alone and more empowered. Before we close, let me remind you this video is for educational purposes only. It does not replace medical advice. Every woman's body is unique. If you are experiencing pain, significant changes, or have personal concerns, please consult with your healthcare provider. Your well-being deserves personalized care. From my heart to yours, thank you for being here. Thank you for having the courage to listen, reflect, and take the next step for your own health. You are worthy of pleasure. You are worthy of healing. And you are absolutely worth taking care of. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself